From a workshop in Bordeaux to ultimate fields worldwide, Force Ultimate creates custom gear with care. Locally made, low impact, built to perform. No outsourcing, no shortcuts, every piece crafted in-house by skilled artisans. Built to withstand every dive and sprint, this gear is as tough as your game. Your sport, your team, your Force. Why choose Force? Exceptional quality, eco-friendly production, and every kit is designed with your team's identity in mind. Force Ultimate, built to perform, made to last. Gear up now at forceultimate.com.
European Youth Ultimate Championship semi-finals day in front of us, and we have a matchup in the women's division for you. France versus Belgium. It's going to be a great game. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside John Doherty this fine morning in Trnava, Slovakia. Doc, how you feeling?
Yeah, looking forward to this one. Both these teams have played each other already. They will have learned. They will have had some tough losses away by both teams, but none of those things matter now as we're here on semi-finals day, and both these teams got here nice and early and look ready to go.
Indeed, it's been quite a journey for these two. Belgium tested repeatedly, and of course, the French, that one defeat to the Italians. So looking at our bracket, of course, we saw on our live stream that 15-11 victory for the Belgians, that back-to-back rematch affair. On the Czech and Austrian side of things as well, clear margins. So the top four teams really battling it out. Any picks for you, Doc?
Yeah, I think at the start of it, for me, it was kind of clear that this was going to be the top four teams on the day for semi-finals, and I think perhaps maybe we weren't sure about the 1 or 2 seed or which one of the 3 or 4 would take it, but I think we're getting two of the teams we expected in facing each other, but we weren't sure of the exact matchups.
Well, looking at the Italian women, of course, as we said, they didn't have a single defeat. Well, that's the wrong top of the board. I think that should be the French, because they see the defeat down there, sorry.
Don't think they can beat themselves, but maybe that's the only way they could lose this tournament if it was the Italians.
Indeed. Well, that's not quite the right one. But on the other side of things, Belgium, as we said, were tested quite a few times. The Italians 15-8 and the French 15-9 last time at bat. So what are you expecting on this matchup? Do you think there's going to be anything that the coaches will have hidden in the pockets, Doc?
Well, I imagine with the Belgians, you have to figure that their advantage is they seem to be a much taller team. In terms of experience, both these teams seem to have a similar level of experience in terms of years played by all their teams. Two very experienced coaching staff. So I expect the Belgians, if perhaps the reason they lost the last time was more of a, shall we say, a skill issue, I expect them to probably have to use the deep game a bit more here, or at least use their height advantage.
Well, it is Belgium starting off with the advantage of winning the toss, one would expect. Of course, you do occasionally see teams choose to start on defense, and with a fine flush of athletes, I'm sure the French will back themselves to take charge in this one quite quickly. Fries in that center pocket. Alongside de Spiel, who you see track that one down, head on a swivel. Those two will rally a lot for the offense of the Belgians. Separation downfield, but Combe unable to make the stretch. We saw her come off with an injury substitution yesterday, so good to see she's recleated for this one. So the first opportunity for a break in the game. Across to Le Pesnec-Caminard, current stats leader for this U20 French women's team. So an absolute cannon for an arm. Delpech just keeps it simple, throws directly to the front of the stack, and into the air it goes, but on the attack and the charge, slapping the disc away, is Sienne Copiance.
Yeah, and that deep shot there, I think she was very hopeful of her receiver being able to run that one down. The Belgian defender did a good job. Looked like they started about 5 meters deeper before the disc was thrown. So again, maybe both these teams just a little bit nervous this morning. It's first game of the day. Maybe the ground is the tiniest bit wet and the conditions pretty ideal for Ultimate. But again, the first couple of points, both these teams probably going to have to just get into the rhythm of an actual game.
Well, it was Belgium who found great rhythm yesterday evening, but then stumbled a few times to hold on to the disc in the end zone. against the German women. Fries high stall situation. Desmet unfortunately goes with one and comes up wanting. The French immediately send for the goal, and that is some beautiful tracking, but it's just not quite there. Maës Troyot providing the deep cut.
Yeah, I think that one, she kind of had to go for it. She had the player free straight away, and again, maybe just slightly rushed and unable to read it by the receiver. But again, this is a good sign if you're the French D-line that you've gotten 2 turns straight away on the first point of the game.
Despiel fakes, sends the mark, and then sends the disc. Desmet again, one hand with contact on the disc, and it just comes out between the, almost like the little finger there.
Yeah, she did a really good job getting a hand to it. I thought she was going to hold on to it. But again, three turnovers here on your starting O point, and maybe in some ways it's not the best. If your O-line's going to turn over a lot, it's better to have all those turnovers in 1 point rather than spread out over multiple points.
Well, a real momentum taker if the French can run away with this long point to start the game. Troyot easily finds that around. And a zesty shot into La Rivière. A little slow down, but they find the line. Lepesnik Kamina breaks around to Caron. Oh, that's a big shot and a layout to secure it. Nice moves from Delpech. And a break indeed to start the game for the French women. Into the hands of Troyot it goes.
Yeah, third time of asking, I think, there for the French. They finally decided to not look to shoot it deep. A little bit fortunate with the grab in front of the end zone by Delpech, but again, took their time. Third chance of asking, they get the break. And like I said, if you're the Belgians there, you have to be a little bit worried about that start. But again, they did get a couple of reps on offense in the 1 point. So like I said, better to have all those turnovers in 1 point than to have 3 points in a row where the French break you. And again, maybe you could say the French D-line offense not looking as sharp as it has in previous games, where I felt sometimes they looked like they were pretty unstoppable, except the only time I've seen them seem to struggle a bit was that that heavy Italian loss, where it's hard to know how much to read into it, as I imagine both those teams knew they would likely be the top 2 seeds going into this day. So I don't think maybe we saw everything from the French in that game, but perhaps the Italians are actually just that good. So again, I think it was an 8 or 9 point margin of victory maybe. So that's a pretty big win, even if you're only trying out some experiments maybe as the French in that game. But for the Belgians here, they need to probably get one of these early points, because the French aren't going to throw away a lead. I think if you're a neutral, you want the Belgians to maybe get a couple of points ahead to start this game, or at least be holding their offense and keep it close.
Well, of course, these two teams, very different journeys yesterday. It was a full cleats-off affair for the French with that bye round coming through. Whereas the Belgians, those 2 games against Germany women, perhaps feeling a little bit of fatigue this morning. Despiel pops it through. Kopians. Despiel being given plenty of room underneath. Not sure exactly why that is. One of the best throwers on this side. And a lefty to boot. Now, Van den Buschen. Up line, nice stretch high for Kopians. Fries looking to grind up line. Doesn't like the look of it. Running out of room and time. Just squeezes that out to Despiel. Now Adams. Someone that Belgium like to target in the end zone, but a bit too much on it, and it's a turnover. On the slate resets to Despiel. So the parent cheering section for the Belgians have brought more supporters than they have athletes to this championship. A great layout attempt, but Fries quickly picking it up. No one stretching the field too deep. other than the static Copiens. Sky ball swatted by the defense. Chabot says no.
Yeah, and I think the French D-line here happy to play a lot slower now. They realize they're getting the turns, and I think they realize they need to start converting these. The first point they seem to go a lot faster on the turn, but now they're playing very slow on the transition.
Herard swings centrally. Poisson now through. Beauvais. The nice big backhand around, but Lucie Caron cannot hold on to it.
Yeah, it looked like she was looking for ready to throw the swing before she had secured the disc. So
nice exploitation of the face mark to hit Fries and Van den Busche. Crombé. And again, Van den Busche really pivotal at keeping the disc moving, but a pit call, not sure that will affect the throw to Despiel, who seems to have her matchup already on the hip. Oh, and that's a beautiful lefty break and easy pickings. The first point goes on the board for the Belgians. Copiens with the goal.
yeah, very much needed score there. Really nice throw. I think it was De Spiel with the throw. One of the stats leaders on this team, and they're going to need probably to come down with all those throws when they put them. And again, like I said, I think the French have had 5-6 opportunities for a break, and yes, they got the first one, but for me there's two ways this game goes. It's the French either take advantage of those breaks early and this game maybe gets out of sight, or they keep giving chances to the Belgians. And again, it's obviously, I think anyone watching the tournament realizes maybe there's two teams that you would say have a clear edge in this, but both these teams here, it's not like there's a big difference in terms of experience and athletic ability on these teams. And if the French keep giving the Belgians opportunities, the Belgians are going to get break chances themselves. And again, it's a very loud Belgian sideline here. I realize the French one is loud too, but what you don't want is the French is to give the Belgians any encouragement either very early or late in the game, because that's when the sideline energy can start to put you under pressure. But again, multiple players here have played in European medal matches before, so might not be such a big stress on their mind. But again, they are all young players, so there's only so many times they've been in these situations before.
Well, there'll be some plenty familiar faces to playing against each other. These were the two finalists. Sorry, I take that back. It's not the two finalists. Looking at the wrong part of my notes.
Yeah, I believe it was a lot of them are from the Belgian team that got a bronze medal at under-17s last year, and obviously a number of the French players returning from the team that beat the USA at Worlds last year. So
indeed, so it's familiar faces from U17s, and that's a nice pick off. Agathe Crozat. Sorry, take that back. Sophie Delanotte. It's an early start for my brain this morning.
Don't expect the Belgians to mess around here too much on the D-line.
But they do miss that one. Kiki Verhofstadt goes low, but it just scrapes the fingers. And so the French with recovery offense. Looking to try and find something downfield, but smothering coverage from the match defense will earn them another opportunity to level the score. Deslova through to Scholten. The around. Lamens. Just dishes it high. Paget. And back in. Deslova around high and sails too far to be collected by De Rudder. So very similar feels to the opening offense of the Belgians, the French being tested repeatedly. The third time of asking, that is beautiful, but it's going to be out of bounds. There's an attempt at the greatest, I think, from Chevillon-Guillet. You'd love to see it. But the Belgian fans, I'm sure, would love to see things be put back on serve. Love that inside high release flick using the stature. Verhofstadt. Pops it back, goes to knees, just Scholten, just to keep it. Things looking a touch frantic. Scholten just sits on that foot and quickly turns, but a little bit of a spill as she falls over, releasing the disc, and that one sails clear.
Yeah, and I think if you're a Belgian fan here, you'd much rather, if your team got broken and you could get a break back here, that's much better than holding at the start of the game, because something that's going to be crucial for the Belgians here is to show they can get breaks, and we're only 2 or 3 points into the game, and they've already shown they're going to probably be able to get multiple chances.
So Belgium with the very familiar looking cup, trying to create the puzzle for the French women to shoot through. This is a nice fine note, good momentum. La Rivière puts that one out. Nice low, well handled for Vespini. The Belgians melt to match. Now trying to go for the interruptions. Mo. Back, Maillard. A lot of zest on that one, and it is indeed taken away. I think Kiki Verhofstadt got a little piece in there.
There's an injury call there, so both these lines going to get a momentary rest. Again, I think if you're the Belgians, you have to be very happy in this situation that, again, maybe we're starting to see a bit of how the French struggled against the Italians, because I've seen them play previously and we haven't seen this many turns, and I'm not really sure what it is. There's a lot of experience here. It's not nerves. I think maybe it's just first game of the day, and Belgians D-line just struggling to get it going. And again, I don't think either team really wants to call a timeout here, because I feel that they feel the other team's playing in a way where if they can just get it together a little bit, and they can take an advantage. So I don't think there'll be a timeout here, maybe after the point, but...
Maillard, up line, into Gibbon. Oh, and that is just a really nice bit of throwing, just showing us what they can do. Camille Larivière with the goal.
Yeah, again, I think it was maybe the third or fourth attempt it took them to get it. And like we said, if you're the French coach, you're probably a little bit frustrated because you cannot afford to be doing this. It's only a matter of time before the Belgians are going to connect on 1 or 2 of these shots, or even just decide, you know what, the offense is really struggling, let's just shoot it. And if they have the height mismatch, it's not necessarily a bad option. But the French managed to get the hold. But like I said, if I'm on the Belgian side now, I'm probably happier if I'm a Belgian supporter, because you've shown you can get the turns multiple times, and now they're just going to have to do the hard part, which is start putting the disc in the end zone when they get the disc. But if that point was anything to go by, they're going to get plenty of chances.
Well, it's a big question at the U20s level whether a day without any opponents to face up against is an advantage or a disadvantage. Of course, there's not always the most time for the national team squads to get plenty of reps together, and it does look a little bit like not quite the finest we've seen out of either side, although looking at that replay, see that little split there from the slide from Murray Scholten, it would be a big loss for the Belgians not to have that number 13 on the field.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned the games yesterday. The Belgians had to play a pre-quarter to get through, but again, a lot of these French players have played World Championships and won Worlds last year, so it's not going to be a thing that they struggle so much. This just slips out of the hand there, I think, possible hand block, but...
Well, a golden opportunity for the French. See if they can use this one. Erard with just that easy one to Le Pesnec-Caminard. Dishes and swishes. Opens up the break side. That's a little bit high, but because there's no defender anywhere near, it's an easy one to claim in the end. Goal for Soline Baron.
Yeah, unfortunate for the Belgians there to turn so short in front of the end zone, and it's pretty hard for the French to turn over there in the first 2 or 3 passes, and obviously the French going to be very happy to get another break so early, and the Belgians, maybe they just need to consider taking a timeout and a bit of a refocus. They do have the loud sideline that's going to keep the energy going, but to go 2 breaks down this early and to not really look like you're, not that they're not capable of stringing the passes together, but I haven't seen much that looks like any kind of form of confident play yet. Yes, they've strung passes together, swinging it back and forth, but they haven't looked overly dangerous other than 1 or 2 times where they had a player open and they just massively overthrew them. But even then, the French definitely look more threatening, and the French turnovers, they look like they're easier to fix. Some of them are just slightly overthrown or a drop, but the Belgian ones look like they're just looking like some of the throws are just kind of nowhere near where they need to be at the moment.
Well, there was a pretty big differential in terms of the goal differences in pool stages. Of course, our women's division this year with 7 teams at the U20 level, same as back out in Padova in 2023, but nearly a double up. Belgium plus 20 and the French plus 39. So we would expect them to have a slightly better honed offense. Just a pick call.
Yeah, when you factor in that the Belgians had an extra game as well, that's almost an even bigger gap between them. And I thought maybe from their earlier game, obviously they played earlier in the tournament, I thought maybe there's a bit less experience in the Belgian team, and I thought maybe by the end of the week, those extra few games would probably suit the team with less experience. But when I was looking at the rosters this morning and looking at how long they're playing, there's not much of a difference between how long they're playing, potentially only the difference in the level of opposition. And I don't think the Belgians played enough high-level teams here that they would have covered the gap or come close to covering the gap compared to what a lot of these French players have played against in recent seasons.
Well, it's a beautiful shot towards the end zone, but a defender right underneath it. Almost looked like that could have been a goal for the French. Maillard through Le Chanoine. Thinks about sending it up that back shoulder. But instead, it's just a flat inside for Maillard. Stack drifting away a little bit. So the French hand, Lisette, just grinding and following those passes straight through. Crozat with the around backhand break. And then just sitting back, allowing the rest of the stack to play through. Moore sends it just shy of the front cone. Agathe Crozat puts it back, and that just sails away. Nothing Lali Maillard could do about that one.
Yeah, the Belgians really needed that one. I think if the French scored there was massive problems for the Belgians, not just in terms of the scoreline, but just in terms of their confidence.
Well, maybe they could take a leaf out of the German playbook from yesterday if they find themselves in a deficit here. Despiel on a high stall just sends that one. That might actually just work out, you know. Tracking it down, and Van den Busche, the hero, in the end zone off a big shot. But of course, we're going to get a discussion about a potential stall out, because that sat in Despiel's hands for quite some time.
Yeah, again, two of the stats leaders linking up there. It might have seemed like a high stall, and maybe it might have seemed like a risky option, but it was two of their main stats getters connecting there. And you know, even if this comes back, it probably shows a bit of the secret of what the Belgians need to do a bit more, because they haven't looked like they're really capable. Not that they're not capable, but they look like they're really struggling with these unders. And defensively, they look like they're they're just kind of chasing the French players rather than kind of actively looking to get into the positions, knowing the most likely positions that the French players would attack. And I think if you're just chasing players, you have to hope for more mistakes, or you have to hope that perhaps you're a lot faster. But if you're just reacting and chasing your player under and giving them the unders, it's not a good recipe here for the Belgians. And like I've said multiple times this weekend for teams, if you're taller, if you're potentially taller and faster, and the other team is potentially more skilled, it only makes sense that you try to take the game into an area where you have the advantage. And for me, the Belgians have to turn this into a game more where they use their deep game and they force the French to use their deep game. And at the moment, the Belgians are just letting the French hit the unders, and that's not going to cause turnovers.
De Spiel. This time choosing the slightly less spicy option. Although we did catch that beautiful big lefty backhand into space. It's a weapon to have for sure. Trying to find an opportunity for a round break. De Spiel puts it out, and this time De Smet manages to keep the claws around it, and that indeed is still the goal held for the Belgians.
Yeah, captain there with the score, and again, a potentially critical score in this game. I think if the French had gone up 4-1 with the extra break, it would be very hard to imagine a situation where the Belgians came back. So Belgians just keeping within touch here. I know it's very early in the game, but we've already seen the French team beat the Belgians 15-9, and if the Belgians were to win this game, you feel like it has to be from being close at the start or taking a lead. Obviously, they've not taken the lead, so now that they just have to try and hope that they can keep it close and maybe play themselves into the game a bit more, and perhaps near the end of the game hope that if things are close, that suddenly the French O-line starts to play like they did in the first point or two, where they looked like they couldn't complete a pass. But French seem to have gotten it together a little bit now. That was their D-line playing. So what you don't want to see here again if you're the Belgians is a very quick offensive score by the French. So do whatever you can here. I know I said maybe they should force them deep on a hook, and perhaps that's what they have to do, but a quick French score here, probably worst case scenario for the Belgians.
Well, of course, they had some very big athletes that took their journey to the UK last year, did the French women. Of course, a little bit lacking in terms of the new heights on the board, although some folks that are sitting around the 176 centimetre mark, but not quite the same stature as this Belgian team, who have a number of very tall athletes indeed, big bodies to put in that cup as well, forcing the French towards their own territory. But Delpech, daughter of one of the coaches of this U20 side, just really running and gunning now here. Herard, along with Guenud. Keeping things alive and moving it in motion. There'd be a ripe opportunity for a hammer over the top here, especially with all the action pinning the defense to this near sideline. Just sort of scrambling, but they're going to choose the more difficult option. The foot speed alone gives the opportunity. That's a nice goal for the French.
Yeah, I think you saw there how easy it's going to be for the French if they're facing a kind of a more passive zone. And like I said, that's maybe worst case scenario for Belgium there. That I know maybe it wasn't super quick, but that was a pretty quick score and pretty easy for the French. And if you're the Belgians there, like you said, you were saying maybe it's a good situation for a hammer. It's exactly what the Belgians need to try and make them to do. And again, it's easy to say it here from the sideline, or it's easy to say it if you're the coach, but to kind of get the players to realize, hey, look, that was, again, maybe this is what the coaches wanted them to do. I'm not sure, but if I'm out there coaching, you can't just let them throw a lot of short passes. You have to try and use your advantages. And the French, yes, they've turned over earlier, but you're not going to get turnovers playing that kind of defense enough to get the lead back. If you're in the lead and you're up 2 or 3 breaks and you're like, say, okay, all we need to do is just get 30 seconds rest for our offense here, maybe it's not so bad. But there was no there was not 1 second in that point where it looked like the French weren't going to score. And again, Belgians need to just consider if they need to switch the defense, or maybe that was just a defensive line that had a certain aim. So again,
well, 3-2 to the French. We got a little shot there, actually. A certain extra coach to this all-female management staff for the U20 women, of course. We'll look at Ine Lancrit, who arrived yesterday. Oh, that's a great grab under huge pressure for Kopians. Some kind of call. Foul, I think, maybe a push-off from Fries. It's back in play. Kopians. This time just lofts that around and exploits the height advantage of Fries. That goes towards the end zone and just tips off the fingers.
yeah, but I don't mind the option. Again, that's the French. I know it was a turnover, but the French had no answer to that. It was just a bit of an unfortunate misread, I think, by the receiver, and that's how easy it can be for the Belgians downwind. And again, they had a point a while ago where they shot and it came back for a stall-out call, but they got the disc into the end zone. Every time they've looked like they're just going to score easy, it's coming from the deep shots so far. And just while we have a second as well, just in the other game, 4-4 with the Czech Republic and Italy at the moment. So both those games going on at the same time.
Keeping things simple are the French women. Oh, that is a beaut of an inside. The proper sit down, full momentum throw. Plenty of action from the sideline in support of the break, but that one is going to be a miss.
Yeah,
and
just
Belgium
trying to
with the opportunity to recover.
Trying to play it a little bit too fast there. Probably should have thrown the flick, but the backhand was open, and one of those things, when you get it wrong, you get a bit of criticism, and they say you should just throw the flick, but I understand why she went for the backhand.
Adams grinding the underneath. Van den Bussche not liked. You can see some of the players for this Belgian side really being fronted. Fries. Dalle, one of the spirit captains, just sitting in that inside channel. But two options there and neither of them get connected with, but that is a great way to make good for your errors. Bonnie Dalle. Again, just sitting in and squeezing that inside channel through, but it is looking very clustered up field for the Belgians. They're not finding space, but it's because it's so difficult to get away from these defenders.
Yeah, and it looks like just some of the throws, not necessarily the turnover there, but some of them it seems like they're almost trying to force certain throws into certain spaces, and I think they need a bit more explosiveness on the dump cuts because the French defense on the dumps doing a good job. Esther's.
Oh, nearly an absolute hero effort from Crozat. But it's going to be a sky ball, pack underneath it. Great grab from Combe. And then Dalle has a little think about just that lofty one over the top. It's this time it is indeed to Combe, and that will do quite nicely.
Yeah, exactly there. And again, if the Belgians need any more signs of how to try and beat this French team, get the disc up into the air when you're unsure of your options. You might think, oh, maybe they got lucky there on one of those. Yes, they did, but it's also not completely lucky if you've got the height advantage and you're coming down with those floaty discs. So 3 times they got this one, and the 3rd time of asking. But Belgians just need to turn this into a game of higher variance. They're not going to win a skill matchup. It's no discredit to them. There's a lot of talented players in this team, but we've just seen that the French just have a bit more experience together. They definitely do have, I think, in my opinion, better disc skills. And every time the Belgians have looked like it's going to be easy, the disc has been at least 8 foot in the high at some stage during the last couple of passes. So they can get it done on offense. It's a lot easier on the offense because obviously they'll have a bit more experience there, but the defense just needs to put a different kind of pressure on now and said, you know what, we're just going to go out. If the French are going to score in 1 or 2 passes or they control the overheads, good for them. But until they show they can do it, we shouldn't be scared of it.
Well, the sidelines for Belgium still trying to add that extra bit of something that the D-line currently is missing. We get another look at this pretty passive zone. Just a quick move over to Caron. You can see these cleats, again, sort of just a little bit slippery out here this morning. Local time, just about 9:30, so it was an early start for both these sides. And it will be again for finalists tomorrow playing in this same time slot. It's a little bit cooler. The heat of the day doesn't start, but the heat in the kitchen. Beauvais with the drop. Pace. Across. Derrida just rudders that one a little too far. And a missed opportunity again to try and get one of these 2 breaks back. Really quick movement from Troyot. Just keeping things, trying to be contained, but that's a dicey breakthrough. Nice grab for the stretch on Chabot. Then swinging. Ganoun. And back. All the way across, are they? No, just staying a little bit in the midst. Finds that one. Oh, that's a lead into space that the receiver wasn't expecting, but then just shoves it into the end zone. Beauvais with the goal.
Yeah, and I think this is a bit more how we can expect to see perhaps the rest of this game going with the Belgian D-line. If they get a turn, they're probably only going to get 1 chance at a break quite often. The French seem to have figured out their offense a small bit. I know they had one turn there, but second time of asking, it looked pretty comfortable. And again, unfortunate with the Belgian turnover. I think it was just a bit of a throw or error, didn't step out enough onto it. And I always tell my players, you should always be releasing your flicks low to the ground, no matter the conditions. Sometimes I know a lot of players standing kind of more upright with their flicks. It's very hard to get it to knock go into the ground or to knock over someone's head. But if you step out and release it low, you can let it rise during the throw up to the player. But again, they did get the turnover there, so they did something they hadn't done on the last 1 or 2 points. So again, as long as they keep getting a couple of turns every now and again, they're going to get their chances. I think it's only 5-3, so it's not like this game is out of reach yet or anything like that. And again, I didn't actually follow the score of the last game when one team went ahead, but 2-point game. Lots of time left.
Indeed, it's just at the moment just about holding your nerve and holding on to as many offensive points as you can early stages and give yourself not an entire mountain to climb, but just a small hill. Although easier said than done against this feisty French defense. Inside shot is smacked away. Again, trying to find that shoulder, but not enough separation upfield. Chevillon Guillerme with the easy smack away. Vespini finds that inside. La Rivière. This is the easy jump step for Maillard. Tempted by the around. Floats it to Maillard. Again, this is good end zone coverage to stop the continuation pass when they move the handlers and the disc through to the break side. This time they are maybe. No, great swish as well from Preuss. Now it's Janssens. Johnson's back. And a pick call at field. A little bit of tactics being spoken from the sideline. Maillard back in play. Tightly marked by Combe. Now Johnson's. Inside. Oh, that's a great hang on for La Rivière. Just slips. Now Maillard uncorks it and wide open, having ground out with the footwork. Manon Salas in the end zone.
Yeah, I think a good offensive break, or good offensive break, shall we call it? Good offense by the French there on the break. I think they had to work a bit harder for that one. That one looked like the Belgians were a little bit closer on defense. It wasn't easy for the French, and again, it's hard to know if you'd say that's a good or a bad thing for the Belgians, because that was good offensive play by the French D-line, which means every time that there's a turnover now by the Belgians, it's just going to be that much harder to get the disc back. And it's 6-3 now. The Belgians are going to need to get four breaks, I believe, because the French start the second half on offense. So again, it's beginning to maybe kind of end up like looking like it's going to go similar to maybe the last time these teams faced. And again, Belgians just need a strong finish, strong next 10-15 minutes, then they get that 5 minutes, take their time. I'm not sure if we've seen a timeout yet. I'm not sure if a timeout's going to change a whole lot in terms of what I'm seeing. Just speaking of games that have already happened, it still appears to be 4-4 in the Italy-Czech Republic game. So whichever team is playing defense right now over there is probably pretty happy. But we can see it slightly in the distance, but not sure. It looks like there's timeout at the moment on that one.
Well, of course, we could be tempted to tune into that one. Every field here being streamed in some capacity. At the moment, all, of course, the other women's opponents just playing things out. We are now locked up into our championship bracket. And it's the Italians out on D in that 4-4 situation, having just gotten a break. But at the moment, Belgium trying to keep it together. High swings across the board. De Spiel centers back. That's a lovely find through to Combe. Patience. High one into the end zone. Can't track it down though. A difficult read, but I think there wasn't quite as much belief from Messelis in that one.
Yeah, I don't want to seem too harsh, but that was almost the hardest throw you could make to the exact position of the receiver there. Either a big outside in backhand to that corner, or potentially just flick it out to the far side. And instead it was the inside out kind of backhand straight over the receiver's head. And again, I can understand why it was thrown, but it was just the hardest throw to catch.
Well, this is the first time in a long time we've had a U20 team into the European Youth Championships. They're not present in Padova. Of course, the under-17s at EYUC last time around. The semi-final against the French there had a very different scoreline indeed. That was a 13-3 loss, and of course they did then go on to beat the Swedes for bronze, did the Belgian women. Many of this roster appearing at that championship, but even a bronze medal here would be a big statement and something to take home and look at to inspire those track workouts, those throwing sessions. Fries on that shoulder. This is really good containment with the Belgians just playing pure match. I wonder if we'll keep to seeing this. There's a bit of a power line on. Pops back inside with ease to Beauvais. Really solid, but the French just being so patient and finding the correct opportunities. Erard. Back to Caron. The captain just saying, where are my cuts, please? This is a great effort from the Belgians to try and frustrate the French. Soline Baron Now just providing the opportunities, and over the tape they go into the lap of Gaetan Lepesnek Kamina, another for the monster stats hoover.
Yeah, I thought the last defensive point offense looked confident by the French, but that one looked like an O-line. That one was really confident, lots of snappy throws, making some slightly more difficult throws look easy. And if I'm in the Belgian coach's position here, I'm not really sure what the answers are when you see them playing like this. Again, I've said already, if you want to try and make them shoot deep, we haven't seen the French have to do that yet. But again, it's like I said, it's easy to say it. It's another thing to kind of shift the mindset of all your players and say, hey, look, just get scored on in one pass deep, let your player free deep or something like that. And maybe they're just determined to try and get the blocks, because they have gotten turnovers from both the French lines by forcing them under as well. So it's not a case of every single time the French are just scoring on the unders, but it doesn't look like the French are having any difficulty right now. And I think the Belgians, again, they're going to have a bit of a chat here. Again, it's under 20s. A lot of things can change. It wouldn't be shocking if the Belgians came back here. There's a lot of talent in the team, a lot of people playing with big club names. And you mentioned how they haven't had under 20 teams before, but I think about almost 2/3 of this team is probably going to be at this event again in 2 more years. So even if this one is tough, it's a great learning experience. But I'm not going to start giving the next time talks until maybe we've got kind of a score line like this in the second half where there's this much of a gap. Right now there's still plenty of time, and we've seen teams go on runs at this tournament, and we've seen the French go on getting broken a couple of times by other teams.
Well, I mean, my mind goes back to yesterday's game where Belgium were 8-3 up at half over the Germany women's program, and then they just started getting break upon break upon break and brought it to within 3 eventually. And if you can get that momentum going and ride the vibe, as you say, there's a lot of real talent on this Belgium roster. So they do have it. It's not beyond them. I think I like that idea of actually, really challenging the French to try and put in some bigger goals. Another look at our bracket, of course, as we have that 1 and 4 seed on the other side of things. You can check out all the score updates by going to the EYUC 25-schedule.ultimatefederation.eu, currently run by the Bula app, our good friends of the Beach Ultimate Lovers Association.
That's it, and a couple of these Belgian players used to playing on the beach as well, so a couple of them playing in, I can't remember how to pronounce it. Torres, yeah, a couple of them, I think it was, they got to the medal game, didn't they? I should probably know exactly where they came, but I knew there were a lot of beach players here. I believe they made the final, and 1 or 2 players playing for the national team coming up this year in Portimao also. So again, a lot of experience. I didn't even know the sport existed when I was young enough to play juniors, so these players light years ahead of me.
Indeed, well, it was a 4th place finish in the end for Torres, but they did get a victory against Valkyria in the pool stage, of course, the team that went on to win the thing at the world level. So these really are the stars of the future. And you're right, exactly right. There's not a single 19-year-old on this Belgian roster, the maximum age of 18. So watch out, World next year in Logroño.
Yeah, and that makes you think perhaps somewhat viewing this as a building year also, a 2-year program maybe. That's what a lot of countries do.
Well, keeping things flowing. Paget to Page. And Adams all alone, but can't make the recovery. You would have loved to see that one, but just to be a turn for the around backhand to hit Nor Adams.
Yeah, it just seemed another one of those ones that just seemed slightly forced and just behind the receiver.
Of course, one of the many Freeze-Bees contingent, but that one taken away. Lucine Guibon can't hang on. So a short field opportunity to put this one to bed. Pace, high release. Getting a lot of love out of those lofty backhands are the Belgians. Adams was all alone there, but the blinkers on for the throwing set of the Belgians. Much like that overhead loft. And they do find it on a high stall situation. A nice collection in the end zone, and I believe that's Cien Copians.
Yeah, much needed score there. I think the French had scored 3 in a row, and I think if they score 4 in a row and had taken a 5-point lead with the extra break going into half, then you might have started saying, hey, how do we go to damage control here? But the Belgians score this one. Now they're going to get a chance, and obviously the French haven't scored a couple of breaks. Their O-line hasn't been on for a while. I was saying that their D-line offense looks really good. I would say I've seen less points from their O-line offense looking as good. So, again, huge point here. Belgians know if France score here that it's half-time, so there's no reason not to go with your absolute best defense here and try and get this break, knowing that you're going to get the break after the half-time break, that is.
Well, knowing the result from last time these two teams went toe-to-toe, I'm sure the French women coaching set will have had a game plan to try and keep the O-line involved. I think maybe we've seen a little bit of flexibility in some of the lines for the breaks. And on come you'll just see them about to come into your shot now. The parent patrol, the Belgian cheering section, the food game has been absolutely exceptional. So I wonder what's in those little bowls they're bringing on. What's your favourite mid-game snack, Doc?
Oh, I don't even know if we're allowed to say such things as juniors. Probably half a bottle of Pepsi and a few wine gums back in the day. But I think my approach was, well, if you keep a constant sugar high, you're never low on energy, and you can just crash in the evening and go again the next day. So don't recommend that for anyone here at this, especially given the level of opposition I was up against. I was lucky maybe that I had done athletics for years when I was younger. So I certainly wouldn't recommend that for any of these players. And I'm sure if you want to have successful careers in Ultimate at this age, you can't probably afford to be doing such things. But Belgians here with a very strong food game, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, I saw them cutting up the watermelon this morning. They've been doing that every day. Bit of rehydration as well as energy going in. I can see some pouches of apple stuff. Oh, they're bringing it to us. Are we allowed some of that? And we've got some mango slices. This is incredible.
You just got about 50 euros worth of mango there. Oh, I see sugar.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We've got some gummies. Well, this is the insight, folks. This is how you fuel a U20's team. Little slices of nectarine, dried mango, apple pouches. They've got it all.
All right, let's go Belgium. We've decided who we're rooting for in this game now.
Well, a lot of the time now you do see, obviously, a big change and uptick in the nutritional science going into all kinds of sports. Of course, we had the Women's Tour de France just finished recently. One of the best world champion cyclists in the women's game ever, taking that one. But yeah, it's nice to see some real food rather than just those squeezy pouches that you have to see pro athletes take on the run.
Yeah, I think maybe there was a bit of confusion there. One or two of the French players seemed to be having a discussion with the volunteers about if they thought maybe that was half-time, but...
Well, not quite yet.
Belgian sideline starting to make some noise now. It's going to get louder now.
Well, there we go. Powered by fruit. It goes in the machine, and Fries uncorks it into the end zone, and it's the Belgians with a break in the late stages of the first half.
That's an absolutely massive break for the Belgians there. We were just saying they need to get a break here. This is the power line, put it on, and they used the deep game, and it looked so easy for them. Everything right there is basically what you want to see if you're Belgians. The crowd gets loud on the sideline, you get the turn, the crowd gets louder, you score, the crowd gets louder. That's a huge momentum shift. If the Belgians can get another break here, suddenly maybe some of the French players and sideline starts getting a little bit panicked, thinking, oh, I thought we kind of had this, and now it seems like everything's going against us. So that was basically, you couldn't have asked for a better, like, I know a break is obviously what they wanted, but everything about that point was exactly what you want if you're a Belgian supporter.
Well, having double-checked our intel, that was indeed the half-time break. So a break to start the second half, but that is a big moment for Belgian women. Of course, they don't have one of the best players we saw on their roster, of course, someone who is a familiar name to anyone that keeps their eyes on the EUCS series. We will not be seeing the likes of Mawen Leduc. Unfortunately, the moon catcher, or moon cupper, I should say, because obviously that's the name of the female matching athletes team.
Yeah, I think it was an injury, and they weren't too happy that it happened, obviously, and said they didn't feel like talking about their best players getting injured. So, but they're doing okay here now, and let's see if they can get another break.
Yeah, it does happen. Sport is not fair. Injuries are part of it. That's a big sky ball, and through comes Emma de Smet. Just make sure that everybody's fine. A little bit of contact on the follow through. Well, that's exactly what you wanted them to do, Doc. Make the French women throw it into the deeper spaces and go and snaffle underneath, but that's a miss for de Smet. Very unfortunate opportunity squandered.
Yeah, but we've seen there they forced the French deep like I've been hoping, and they got the turn, and it looked easy for them. And again, all the momentum right now with Belgians. If they can get a break here, or if they can get another turn, they're going to take a lot of positives away from this.
Well, maybe that's a secret plan for the second half, is to try and force the French away from the disc, having ground them underneath. Although it's largely been their D-line out on the field for the first half. That's a nice inside simultaneous catch, goes to the offense. Lupiznik, Kaminard just dishes back and immediately looks over the shoulder as she runs up line, and that is the point on the board. No rolls for the D train of Belgium yet.
Yeah, but again, they got the break in the first point of this half. They got the turn in this one. French struggling a little bit there to get the job done, and again, like I said, I thought if maybe the French had got one more score break in that first half, it could have been trouble. But the Belgians, I would say the momentum is slightly with the Belgians now, even though the French are celebrating like crazy. And I think that celebration they're doing right now is to try and lift their own spirits, because maybe they realized as well that the Belgians had taken a bit of a lead. And players here again seem to be looking. I know we said it was half, but it almost looks here like they've decided it's half. So I'm not entirely sure. There was a bit of confusion between some of the players and the volunteers about whether it was half. So not 100% sure right now, but it does look like potentially this is half. It would be unusual for them to have taken a timeout at this stage. But
well, I think it has now been corrected on the tablets, and we're getting the half more traditionally at 8. So it's all changing here, all chopping and changing.
So what we're saying is the Belgians did get that power line break to end the half that they needed, and they almost had a chance to get a second one there. Even better news for the Belgians. See, as soon as they come over a couple of sweets and some sugars to the commentators, and they get us on side, things start shifting. So.
What was your sweet of choice from the tray?
I saw something that looked like wine gums or Haribo, so I decided I was going to go for that. I turned down the mangoes. I said I couldn't possibly take mangoes now that we have a small little child at home. Anytime we buy the fancy mango stuff, that has to be saved for him. If we're going to splash out the expensive stuff, the dried mango.
Indeed, it's future ultimate star, Aaron. Who would you rather he takes after, his mother or his father in playing style?
I mean, kind of the same, really, aren't we? I don't know. Maybe that. Hopefully, neither of us. I guess if that's the case, maybe maybe his mother's work rate and I don't know what would I give him if I had to give him something from me. Maybe my self-belief of when I'm feeling like playing well. Every now and again, I'm capable of having a good performance. Usually on the streams only for the fans. So.
Well, truly a man of the people, and of course. The belief just has to be there for Belgium. At the moment, they really have just managed to find something from deep down within themselves. It's been there all along, I suspect. But if they can keep challenging the French to battle in the deep space with them, they could give themselves a real shot here. Of course, Emma de Smet had a little look at that great sky battle. But some of the connectivity that the French women find, their flow, is very difficult to stop. That last goal from Lupiznik, Kaminard just popped it back, and just look at that for a cut. Just really quickly moves, leaves the mark for dust.
Yeah, nice little handler moves there. Stuff like that is just so hard to stop, because you know, if you overbid on the open side and they're gone so far open side, they just cut back to the break side. And something I try to show teams is I've little playbooks of like handler moves there, and that one there is especially hard to stop because you it's just so dangerous to score near the end zone with it, and it's very difficult 1v1 in those situations. And again, we got a 3-point game here. Over on the other field, it looks like the Italians are up by 2. So again, we're getting games that look like they're like potentially a little bit closer than they maybe were the first time around. But obviously, if the scores were to continue like this, we'd end up with similar score margins. But I think the teams that are trailing in both these semi-finals right now, there's going to be a little bit more fight in them going into the latter stages of the game, because the first time we had essentially what are the two semi-finals right now, I think all the teams at that stage kind of knew that they were going to be, the Belgians knew and the Czechs knew that either of them was most likely just going to be playing France or Italy, and don't know if they considered there's much of a difference between which one of those teams they played. So I expect the games to be a bit closer, and for surely one of these teams is gonna cause some drama near the end of the game, and we're gonna hear some loud shouts from one of these fields, maybe both of the fields, we can hope. But let's see how it goes. Belgians coming out here. They're going to start on defense, and they did do this last time. They pulled from here and got the break. So if they can do it again here, we're going to have ourselves a game.
We certainly are, Doc. And of course, we will have our women's final in this very time slot, 9 o'clock sharp, Central Eastern Summertime. So Central European Summertime, although we are in the eastern side thereof, or Central, depending on your perspective. But the loser of this match eventually will go on to try and taste victory one more time at the tournament in the bronze medal match later today. Fries on the charge, and that's a great layout, but I don't think it's the catch. Koza has to leave that one on the floor.
Yeah, another deep shot turnover by the French.
Nice gun underneath it for Tinka Tushis. Oh, that's going to have way too much loft, though. What a shame. Again, Belgium creating opportunities, but unable to make too much of them. Mayal through. La Rivière with the stretcher. Punches inside. Oh, and this is just really lovely, fast movement. And they do indeed, in the smaller spaces, win the charge and put another into the card.
Yeah, the last 3 0 points in a row for the French. They've turned over on all of them, but I think they've scored 2 of them. And I think going forward, maybe for the rest of this game, the Belgians are going to probably need to start, well, obviously they're going to need to convert them, but I think, I imagine we're not going to see a French line with 2 turnovers on offense, maybe for the rest of this game potentially. And I think the Belgians really need to get one of the next break opportunities. And I would say at this stage of the game, if the French were to get one more break, it's hard to see the comeback, very, very difficult. But the Belgians also it's starting to get closer and closer to that 15-point cap. I know it's 6 points away, but there's only so many chances you're going to get for breaks, and they really need to start converting them now. They did one a couple of minutes ago, and they've gotten the turns, but it's time to start converting them.
Well, Belgium are creating opportunities by doing a little bit of crossing over players, although the one benefit for them is the fact that they are not out on the pitch in very long, grindy points, so those personnel still available on the O-line when they need them. Base has to spiel that little sachet away. And again, there's no throw that Peter de Speel does not have in the toolbox. Van den Busche on the high stall, just sitting towards the back of the pack, and she will go all the way to the end zone, and that's a goal for the Belgians. This time, no issues with the stall out, just straight up magic.
Yeah, and again, anytime that this travels more than 20 meters by the Belgians, it ends up in the end zone, and that's exactly what they want to do on offense. Maybe it's just what they need to do on defense, but we've seen we've seen them keep the energy going. And again, you mentioned a while ago there may be a couple of players crossing over on the lines. I think it's somewhat of a tricky spot if you're the coaches, because I think if you decide here that you want to really go for this, if I'm in the Belgians situation here, I think I'm I'm probably picking my best 10 for the rest of the game. But the difficulty of it is, if that doesn't work and your eyes on this tournament were to get a medal, are you potentially willing to do it later on in potentially another game again? And is that the kind of team, is that what your team is expecting, or is that what the vibe of the team is? Again, it's happened to me multiple times with teams where you just realize, look, I'm against a better team here. I think we can agree the French, on average, are going to win this game more often than not. And if the Belgians are going to try and win this, I think that's kind of their only chances to just say, hey, look, there's a certain level of player on the team we have, and that's who we got to go with till the end. But again, it's easy to say it, and maybe that's what maybe they've said they're not going to do something like that. But I think that's the only way I see the Belgians having a comeback here.
Well, the disc coming out of bounds at half field, so maybe trying to pin on this near sideline. Le Chanoine starting things off. Well, that nearly slipped out of the paws of Johnson's.
Yeah, if they can keep them here on this sideline and at least force an overhead, which they do, it's some bit of a positive.
Nice wide cup by virtue of the spacing. I'd like to see them close up a little bit and give up a bit more of the line, but that's going to be a throw into the end zone and into the hands of the defense, nearly taken away on the first pass, but they hold on. Sophie Delanotte looking for the scramble. Oh, that's a nice one through. This potential break, sniffs it down. That's a great layout. Back on the field is Mara Scholten. Call from the sideline for Belgium, just saying easy, easy. They might just have to send it. That is a visionary throw, and it's a break for Belgium into the palms of Marcelis, and they celebrate emphatically, well deserved.
Yeah, another huge break for the Belgians there again. And again, comes from the deep game of the French. I don't think the French have completed a hook or looks like they're capable of doing one against this Belgian team. And like I've said, if you're the Belgians now, you just make this a game where it comes down to France. Throw a hook and score against us, because you're not getting any more unders. And every time they've made the French do that, the French have looked the much worse team. And the Belgians there finally converting. High stall. But again, high stall, throw it up into the air, win the aerial battle. We've said it from the start. I'm sure they're aware of it. And maybe they just need to say, look, that's just how we're going on this. As people say, die in our shield. And their shield right now needs to be that anything that's any disc that's in the air, it favors them so much. So again, huge break. And again, like I said a while ago, if they can get this one here now, this follow-up one, the French are going to start to feel the pressure. And I don't care how many world championships and things like that you've won. When you're this age, it's a semi-final. The French are expected to win. They're going to feel that pressure, and the Belgian sideline's definitely going to let them know about it also. So, again, huge opportunity for the Belgians here if they can get this break.
Well, my mind goes back to the game that we had in front of us against the Czech Republic with the French women. Of course, that one was also a game where the margin of victory changed hands a little. It was a little less certain in this one. A better start for the French, but of course there was that comeback towards the end, and the Czech Republic nearly took it away.
Yeah, and I think even here in this zone, the Belgian deep is like so deep, just need to push up. They're letting the French just work these unders again, and I guess not how they're going to get the turns. They need to just push up and say, give them the score if they can throw it. But
oh, nice quick movement through, but they're trying to squeeze it down the line, but the layout is there, and that is a fantastic grab. Lisa Le Chanoine with the goal.
yeah, really nice throw and grab there on that last throw. It was a pretty tight window, and the player takes off, two-handed grab. Again, French going to be happy with that one, that they get the opportunity to just slot it in. And again, like, I'm one of these people, even when I'm in here, I'm going to be kind of rooting for the underdog team. And again, for the Belgians there, it just didn't seem like you were going to force the French to do anything difficult. Yes, on the last pass, it's a little tricky, but you just gotta make them hook it. They can't, I'm going to sound a bit mean. they can't throw a hook. They haven't shown in this game that they're capable right now in this game of completing a hook. Yes, I'm sure they can throw hooks, but in this game, they haven't looked like they're capable of it. So get them doing it.
Well, I think that's the advantage that the Belgians have. It's because that last scoring pass, yes, it's difficult. Yes, it requires the layout from Le Chanoine, but it's zippy and it's low. Anything that's sitting in the air, and we do have like just a healthy throwers wind this morning. It's not too bad, and you can see that lovely shot of the Belgian flag that the supporters have brought. It's a big contingent, both the boys, the under-20 open side and the mixed team. 3 teams from the Belgian delegation, but I'm with you. At the moment, the aerial battles are pretty much always going, it seems, to the Belgians.
Yeah, and eventually the French, you know what, they're going to throw a good hook and it's going to come off, but so what? If it's 1 time out of 5 where you get scored on easily, that's 4 times where you're getting a chance to get a break. And again, with the scorers, what it is, you can't just afford to get 1 or 2 breaks. You have to just come out here and completely turn this game on its head. And the Belgians have seen on both sides of the disc what they need to do. So,
oh, that's going to be a dicey one, and a first pass throwaway. That's a real shame and a big moment for the French to punch another break back.
this is one of those where I think they just have to go for it and load up and say, shoot to the end zone on the first pass. If you can get it, you can get it. But just don't let them swing it off the sideline here to the far sideline. And it's just exactly what you can't really let them do.
Nice aggressive chase downs. But again, that inside channel, we want to see flatter forces perhaps, but an easy one in the end. Gaetan Lepesnik Caminard with the goal.
Yeah, that one a tough one to take. I forgot for a second that point started with the Belgians on offense, and again, just they did get the break that I thought they would get back into it. So I'm not going to say it's over yet. I think had they not gotten that break a minute ago, I would be probably thinking that now after this one. But as long as the game's within 4 and they still have to play 4 more points, the French have to score 4 more. It's not impossible for the Belgians to go on a couple of 2-1 runs here, maybe take it close to universe, and then anything can happen. But this point here, if the French get a break here, I realize none of the Belgian players playing right now will hear it, so it's fine to say it. But I think if the French get this one here, I would be saying that this one would be over. This point for the Belgians to keep their season alive. I know it's juniors, I know anything can happen, but...
Well, even at the senior stage, it's just that thing of if you can take control of a game somehow and get momentum. I think probably for me, I just think the Belgian confidence level was really high coming into that point, and I think they were just really expectant of getting that another hold on the board. But they're going to have to wait to this point to try and just steady their nerves. The rudder in and through. Dalet. They have that big hammer over the top if they want it, but it's going to be some backup for Despiel. And they do indeed throw to the shoulders. That is exactly the spot. You've got Desmet on this side. And plenty of opportunity. There is an open player far, far away, but it's Desmet in the middle, causing the mixture to set in the oven for the next point.
Yeah, exactly what the Belgians need there. Pretty easy offensive point. Slot it in, bit of energy, get the celebration. Get the D-line back out there now. We know the recipe. We know the slight risk they put on by doing it, but there's nothing to lose at this stage. Go for it. See here in the replay how it's easy for them. Using the overheads, again, anytime the disc has gone out of reach of players standing on the ground, every single time it's benefited the Belgians, except for I think they had 1 hook turnover. Every other hook they'd thrown, I believe it ended up in their hands. So, again, how aggressive can the Belgians be here? It's a close game, like I said. Every time they hold their offense, it keeps them alive, and now they have the chance to start stabbing away at the French, and
metaphorically, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of, trying to take every feather out of the cushion. At the moment, the pillow is 3 points. But of course, the French looking to try and notch this one on. So just over 20 minutes remaining of regulation play for the Belgians to try and get a comeback. But if you're a French fan, you just want this one to be a hold. Chevillon-Guiel, the lovely inside. Mo. Oh, and the layout is there, but I mean, that would have been on the tape even if it had been caught. So a big opportunity. Belgium, fine Kopians. Didn't like that flow up line, and it's Fries around the back. Pick call. It's two players getting each other's way, although retracted, it seems. Nice move through. Scholten looks for it back, although turns away. And Kopians, on the last moment, finds the release to Marcelis. Then Scholten. Foul call. Contested as the two players jostle on that front corner. So his arms go out from the defender. Fries puts it back into Scholten, and Belgium are back in business with another break.
Yeah, they returned the favour to the French there by scoring with a similar end zone kind of set play off the injury call. And again, huge break there. Again, I was almost starting in my head to think, even if the French hold their offense here, it was so hard for the Belgians to come back. They needed this break. This break was massive. It's now a 2-point game, and they still need a couple of breaks, but they've shown they can get them, and they're getting them slightly upwind, which makes me think that they can definitely shoot downwind. And that one I was more impressed by that one because it was a lot of unders. They worked it from basically the front corner of their own end zone to the opposite corner of the field. They didn't really look under too much pressure. And, you know, they're on top right now. They've gotten the break. I can't remember the French were gifted a break a while ago, but the Belgians are the ones earning them and scoring with some hard passes and not making it, not that that one was hard, but they had to work for that one a bit more. So they've got the defensive side of things figured out. Their last offensive point looks good. They really do have the momentum. And again, I felt like if the French scored that last point, maybe it was too far for them to come back. I don't feel the same about this one. I feel if the French score this one, the Belgians are still right in it. And I think if there's a break here, you'll probably hear the loudest cheer of the week so far.
I do not disagree, Doc. Of course, semi-finals day always gives us plenty to go for. The French indeed are going to shoot into open acreage, but it's a drop on the end zone line. That's the first time we've really seen a proper error from Troyot. Well, big moments here. Maybe just in the Mines high stall situation. They just about get it through to Pace. And Despiel. A big reacher leads into the end zone. Just nearly. That just hit the hand of Van den Busche.
Yeah, underthrown, and then two players that thought maybe they could have it missed it. But again, we've seen the French just... I think that one, it should have been caught, but so far just an inability to get the deep shot. And I think a bit of that one was just the pressure. She was expecting to have a big Belgian coming in and reaching over her, and she just dropped it.
Lepesnik Caminat through to Troyot. He's got that cowboy hat from Padova in 23. Feisty inside, makes the mark. Erard through, back to Troyot. But the French just linking the chain together. Making the dist do the work on the inside shoulders. Again, Belgium with the around marks, it opens up the opportunity, and over the tape goes Mathilde Erard. They hold on to that lead.
Yeah, critical score for the French there. I realize I've been kind of getting a bit excited about the Belgians lately, but obviously, like I said, we want the team who's behind to come back, and we'd love to see the kind of massive comebacks and close games, but the French doing a good job there. Again, a bit unfortunate with their first deep shot, they essentially just dropped it, but second time of asking, they look really good, and big score for the French there. And again, if you're on the French side of things there, you're probably taking a deep sigh of relief after that one, because you get to avoid the absolute chaos that would have happened if the Belgians had converted that break, and it was just fingertips drops on both sides, fingertips there, and then the Belgians on the other side on the hook, just fingertips as well, shoots over two players' heads. These are the margins of how games can be decided. It's just so close. And again, I know it's a bit of a tall ask for the Belgians, but they look like they're playing in a way where this game is going to get a bit closer before the end.
And what a difference from the beginning as well. Of course, this second half has been a roll of breaks. It was that first one on the board, the hold for France. But then since then, it's been neither team's managed to hold their offense and then not get a break.
Big point here for the Belgians now. They really need to keep scoring their offensive points.
Kopians. That one nicely through to Tushis. Reacher up for Marcelis. So much open space for the dump, but they squeeze up line to Scholten, who picks up just shy of the blades of grass, caressing the disc. Sky ball trying to just use the height. Oh, and there's nothing underneath it. Nearly the redemption, but Sophie Delanotte can't get a read.
Yeah, just a bit of a misread there, and I was almost going to say we know what's going to happen when the disc is in the air here. And huge point here, huge opportunity for the French now. Belgians know they need to get this one back.
Well, maybe we'll see this again. Both teams finding the ability to break each other with ease in the second half at times. Troyot pulling double duty, so perhaps a little bit of a power line for France women to really try and close the game off again. Oh, and that's just flow for days, like a cascading waterfall. Another break on the score sheet for France women, and this up and down affair in the second half continues.
Yeah, that's we were talking about trying to like start stabbing to come back at the French there, but that might have potentially been a killer blow by the French there. I just don't see the Belgians being able to get enough breaks to come back into this one now. They're so close to getting that offensive point. Just a bit of a misread. They've been good in the air. They've been coming down with everything, and a tough one to take if you were hoping for a very exciting finish. But again, don't want to say it too loud as some of the Belgians walking past now. But
much closer scoreline though in the other side of the women's bracket. Well, we said that the Italian women looked clearly the favourites here in the women's division. Got a lot of returners as well from both that bronze medal world team as well as the silver medalists back in Padova. 11-9 the current score in the second half between them and the Czech Republic. So that one could go either way for sure. An early lead for the Czechs, nullified by Italian second half stars. But focusing back on this one, a must-hold point. Otherwise, they're going to give a real clutch of game point opportunities to the French women. To Spiel, to Pace. Just pops it nice and easy up line. Good momentum, but not too much available downfield to grip it and rip it too. I like that intensity of the fake from Dalle. De Spiel getting the matchup from Maillard. Lofts it into the end zone. Van den Busche underneath, but it's a drop.
yeah, two just unfortunate ones in a row now for the Belgians in the end zone. They've done the harder part. They've got into the position. They've got the disc coming down the way they wanted it. unable to hold on to it. And
Lofty, but well taken on the swings. Inside, through La Rivière now. Plenty of contests on these passes, but the throws are now well attuned. Little dance up line to open up the space for Maillard. No continuation. Trying to dance around. Johnson's on a high stool, just squeezes it into the lap of La Rivière. And through to Maillard. Again, very close movement in the handler space. Big poaches off into the open side. Oh, that just is arcing vision. Trying to use the one-on-one, but it's Desmet. So a risky one to try. Back to Maillard. This for the break of, and that might just be the game taken away. Camille La Rivière with the goal.
yeah, great work by the French there. They get a bit lucky with the turn, but the offense is really good. And again, they're kind of just taking what the Belgians are giving them. That point, mostly all open side unders and up lines. One kind of nicely weighted throw when they had the French on the front corner of the end zone. But again, I think that one just kind of, that point there, the defense after the turn, just kind of what's been somewhat of the problem for the Belgians in this game is the French are just kind of too good on those unders. And we didn't see any real opportunities for them to get blocks there. There wasn't too many deep shots, but again, you can't, maybe they just don't want to do the same defense every point, but it was working for them. And the French just, they're going to score against that defense they just faced there.
I feel like there are moments, though, where the Belgian defenders, they're trying and set traps. They're trying to sit on those shoulders. There are some moments where kind of it's not entirely the wrong shot for the French to take. I think they have the throwing prowess at this moment to really hit those ones that are, quite close. But I think that's what the Belgians are trying to do now when they're trying to recover on defenses, not to kind of, bracket them and just say, try and cluster them. You did see some really nice softness in the lane, poaching to try and prevent the goal for quite some time, really making the French have to break the mark aggressively with that one that sort of lofted for a bit. But I think at this stage, you do have to try and set some traps and give yourself the ability to just try and push through on the inside shoulders. But the French kind of love that style, that slightly touchy. But taking the timeout are the French women for their first match point of 5 to try and take it on a break. It's been a run uninterrupted of 3.
Slight downwind here as well. I wouldn't be surprised if the Belgian heads have dropped a little bit now and the French come out here with a strong line and potentially end this one somewhat quickly. Obviously, if you're at home and you're a Belgian fan, you'll be wanting them to keep this game going longer. But after the timeout, especially if the French called it, I think they're just saying this is the time. Let's just go and end this game now and not give the Belgians a chance to build some momentum and potentially even get a chance to go over and watch the last couple of points in the Italy-Czech game. Spoiler alert for anyone if you want to block your ears. It's currently 12-10 to the Italians.
So a very tight one on the other side. Belgium with it all to do to bring the game back. But of course, we will have our women's bronze medal match later on today, which will be an absolute stormer. Sometimes we get even better bronze medal matches in terms of watchability than we do finals, with that one happening at 2:30 this afternoon. But eyes back on the field. Can France take it away with a break? Nice feet for Van den Busche on the sideline. And the French with the zone to try and slow things down. And of course, nullify the deeper shots. You can see the deep of Lepesnik, Caminard, way off your screen. All the way to the left. Not letting anyone sneak away. A swing with a sense of adventure. And then Desmet. Dahle. You can see those two shoulders, and right at the back, that deep opportunity here for the French, but great read from Fries. Ben van den Busche. Desmet couldn't quite keep the flow moving, and the French defenders appear, but that one is an opportunity that will not be wasted. A great grab in the end zone under pressure. And is that Peter de Spiel taking a goal?
I think so, potentially, but got a bit of a bump to the ground after by the French player, so I'm not entirely sure who it was. But again, they've done the easiest of easy parts, considering what they have to do now for the rest, which is to go on a run of 5 breaks. And I think if they were to pull this one off, we could probably say it's the best on-field comeback we've seen maybe ever in European Youth Ultimate. But if there's a time to do it, it's the semi-finals. There's nothing to lose for them now. They know, regardless of the outcome of this one, they still have another game later for a medal. And I think if you told them coming into this one at the start of the week, you're going to have a game against France for a semi, they would have been like, yeah, maybe we're kind of hoping to be in that area. But it wasn't always so clear. So still has been a good week, and there's no point worrying about the score now. You just got to go out and try and get that first point, that first break. We've seen them get breaks. We've seen them get multiple turns. Get one or two. A little bit of doubt can start to creep in for the French.
Well, I mean, if it is to be a couple of rematches for our medal matches, I would not be upset to see another one between Belgium and the Czech Republic. Of course, that one went all the way down to universe point at 14s and was nudged by 1 goal in favour of Belgium during pool play stages. So irrespective of the result here, still plenty more watchability and chances to claim glory. Of course, that bronze still feels pretty good, sometimes better than a silver. But the French looking to finish it off here. Maillard in absolute open acreage. That sort of flat cup, poaching off the handlers to try and clog the lanes, but brilliant, rapid movement. Khoza puts it through. Janssens. Now on the goal line, Vespini. Back to Janssens. Little scramble there, but all fine for Khoza. Oh, and into the end zone, and it will be France women in the final tomorrow morning. Vespini, the captain, finishes it off.
Yeah, great job there by France. They've shown in this game that they deserve to be in the final. Obviously, we're going to talk later about how great they are when we get to see, or tomorrow when we get to see them in the final. But I just want to give a shout out to the Belgians there, especially with how many players they have. Like we said, not one player on the current team is unavailable to play in future seasons. They're going to be playing in the bronze medal game later on. That game over there is getting very close at the moment, but great job by the Belgians. We saw that they were able to adapt and force the French into some tough positions. And again, they got a medal game later, really good performance. This game, I imagine it was a lot closer. It felt a lot closer than what their last game against the French did. So good job by them, and we look forward to seeing France again tomorrow. So congrats and best of luck to both teams.
Well, commiserations indeed to Belgium women. They had some absolutely fantastic moments in that game. I think probably, though, the little sharper edge on the offence for France was what unlocked it. But that will do us for our women's semi-final. The game continues on the other side, though, so Field 3, if you want to tune into the VO stream, feel free to enjoy that coverage. For myself, Hannah Pendlebury, for Doc, for all of our wonderful production crew here, we will see you for the next semi in the mixed division.
From a workshop in Bordeaux to Ultimate Fields worldwide, Force Ultimate creates custom gear with care. Locally made, low impact, built to perform. No outsourcing, no shortcuts, every piece crafted in-house by skilled artisans. Built to withstand every dive and sprint, this gear is as tough as your game. Your sport, your team, your Force. Why choose Force? Exceptional quality, eco-friendly production, and every kit is designed with your team's identity in mind. Force Ultimate, built to perform,